Hello, welcome back to our adventure to create a game bot. As I said in the first video, our objective is to create a game starting with tic-tac-toe, and then we'll create a bot to play and learn to play the game. Ultimately, our hope is to be able to create a bot, an AI, to learn how to play chess. So in this second day, we are going to furnish the game for tic-tac-toe. So a couple of things we need to do before we can create a bot. Okay, so this is something we have to kind of accomplish before the next step, which is exciting. So in today's video, we are going to focus on a couple of features to finish the game. First, to clean up the code a little bit, and then we are going to add a status bar at the top of the game and also a reset button so that you can restore new game. And then we are going to also implement a check win function to check who the winner is, and then if there is a winner, it will end the game and then you can start over, right? So I kind of mark up the layout of the game, right? So this is going to be what we are going to accomplish today. So we already have a 3x3, right? We already have a 3x3 matrix, right? This is what we already accomplished here, and you can play. But we do not have a reset button yet, right? To start the game once it's done, right? So we're going to create a reset button, and then I would also like to create a label to show a status message, like, okay, the game is ready, the game is in progress, or whoever has won the game. Okay, so very simple still, but that will give us some more functionality before we can introduce a bot. Okay, so that is what I would like to achieve today. And so as you can see in this layout, we already have this, we have the grid, right, in the middle for the game. So we are going to have status at the top and then reset at the bottom. So this is going to be a vertical layout. Okay, so we are going to use a vertical box or VBox from the widgets for this task. Okay, but let's start with some cleanup first. So what I would like to do here is go back to the code and just remove some things that we don't need. This is just for instruction purpose. Okay, and so I'm going to remove it. Okay, just keep the code clean. Now, as I said, we're going to introduce a couple of things, right? So the first thing is that we need a status bar. Okay, so at the top. And so in order to show the status bar, hopefully once the game is being played, we can check the winner. If there's a winner, we can show who the winner is on the status bar. So let's introduce a winner variable. So self.winner equal to, at the beginning, there's no winner. So let's just put simply quote unquote with a space in between. Okay, so that means there's no winner yet, until it becomes X or O, right? So that is for the winner. Now let's also add some UI elements, user interface elements. We already have the buttons and grid, but as I said, we would like to show some status. Okay, so self.status, this is going to be a label. And so we are going to use widgets.capital label, and then in the init function and the constructor function, we are going to make it ready. So we are going to simply say the game is ready, right? Because it's initialized. So that is the status bar, right? And then we have already the buttons, and particularly self buttons, right? So that you can click to play the game. Okay, this part we have already done. And then also I would like to add the button for the reset, right? So we should also have a reset button, right? So for the reset button, okay, we are going to say self.reset button equal to, again, it's part of the widgets. So widgets dot button, right? And then the description can be something like, you know, new game, right? To reset the game, or you can simply just put reset to start the game all over again. And then layout equal to widget dot capital layout. And then because I do want to provide a width, okay, if you go back here, the size of the button should be 3 times of each cell button here. You remember each cell button is 150 pixels. Okay, so if you go back to this reset button, I think we should set it at 540 px. Okay, so there's the layout. Okay, so that is the reset button, and then again at the end is the output. Okay, now, okay, so that is the buttons. There's one more thing I would like to do. Okay, so and this is also part of the cleanup. Now if you go to the display function here, okay, we have this list of buttons in here, and we put these buttons in the grid. Okay, now in the future when we play the game, when we reset, we do need to access these buttons in the grid again and be able to kind of clear the X and O in the grid so that we can reset the game. Okay, so we do need to reuse this set of buttons in here. So what I would like to do is copy this out. Okay, so select this and then Command X or Control X to cut it. And then coming back to where we have all the buttons. Okay, so you can put it somewhere here, doesn't matter, before the reset button. Okay, what I would like to do is have a self button list equal to, and then copy that over. Okay, so this will keep track of all the buttons, the 3 by 3, 9 buttons in the grid. Okay, so this is the self. So this list of buttons become self.button list. Okay, and so once you copy that over here and assign to button underscore list, let's put, instead of the whole statement, let's put button, actually self button list. Okay, and because now this is long enough, what I'm going to do is going to move the second line over. Okay, because I think we have just enough space to have everything in one line that is readable. Okay, so that is there for now. Now, as I said, we have 3 elements, right? One is the status bar, and then the grid, and then the button in a vertical layout. Okay, so we need to create a vertical box. So first thing I would like to do is change this grid into self.grid. So it's the variable that we can keep track of. Maybe we don't need that, but for now, let's make it that way. And then I'm going to create another variable called GameBox, okay, which is going to based on widgets.vBox. Okay, so we're going to create a VBox, okay, based on what? Okay, so let's close it with the parentheses, and then here we start with the pair of brackets to include the 3 elements, the 3 user interface elements there. So the first one is the self.status, right? Remember the status up there. If you go back, right, we have the self.status equal to ready, and then we also have the grid down there, and then we also have the self.reset button. Okay, so these are going to be the three elements that we need. Okay, so self.status, self.grid, and then self.reset button. Okay, so that will be the three elements that we need, okay, for this interface. Let's run it and see if it works. There is some issue here. Okay, let's double check. Oh yeah, we still need to change this grid. So again, if you go to the line of the problem, which is 45, and this is where the 45, 46 is, okay, has no attribute reset button. So let's double check reset button, self.reset button. So let's go back to here. So it's reset button. So I missed a T actually. Okay, so this is the first problem. So again, I missed a T here. Okay, button. Fix that. Come back. Now here, instead of displaying the grid, we should display the game box. So change that to self.gamebox, because again, you are going to show the game box, which is the vertical box with status, and then the grid, and then at the bottom is the reset button. Okay, so let's run it again. So it looks like it works this time. Initially it's ready for the status, and we do have a new game button to reset the game. Now we can play, right? We can play, but this new game function is actually not working. So let's make it work. So whenever we click on the new game button, it should clear everything and restart again. Okay, so let's create a new function. Okay, so right before, perhaps we can put it anywhere, but perhaps we can make it right before the make move. Okay, so let's create this reset button, and for to reset the game. Okay, so again, we're going to define reset self. Okay, and because this is also a function that we are going to use when the user clicks on the reset button. So inside this reset, let's also create a on reset clicked. Okay, if the reset button is clicked, and then underscore to keep track of event variables of that click event. Okay, so on reset click, what we are going to do, of course, when you click reset, whoever is currently playing, it doesn't matter, will reset all the way back to our default first player, in this case, which is X, right? So self player is X, and then self.winner. If we reset, obviously, even if there has been a winner, the winner should be reset to empty. So quote space quote. Okay, and then there is also the status, right? We should set the status back. So self.status.value to, again, back to ready. Okay, so this is the reset. And also a number of things. Imagine when we played. Okay, so let me go back and you can just watch here. Okay, so we change the status and when we reset, but we also need to reset things on the interface, on the buttons, right? Because if you already mark as O or X on the buttons, they should be cleared. This is one thing. And we also need to change the memory of the 3x3 grid or array back to the all empty strings, so that the memory will say There's no one has played yet. Okay, so this is what we need to reset also. So back to the reset function here on reset clicked, let's reset those variables. So first thing is that we are going to create a for loop to go through the two-dimensional array. Okay, so it's a nested loop for I in range 3, and then in the nested loop for j in range 3, and then we're going to go through every single element on the board. Again, remember the board is the 3 by 3 matrix, and it takes two index, I being the row index and j being the column index, right, to go through every single cell, and then we need to reset it to quote space quote, right, because this is the empty string that we use to indicate that no one has played on this cell yet, right? So this is empty for this 3 by 3 matrix. We also have a list of buttons in the self.button list, which is used to show on the actual grid. Okay, so we also need to clear all the buttons. So for button, okay, so I'm going to make just a comment here. Okay, clear the memory of 3 times 3 matrix. Okay, so and then clear the buttons on the grid. Okay, so next we're going to clear all the buttons on the grid. So for button in self button list, right, we already create a button list up there to keep track of all the buttons. Okay, actually it's right here. Okay, so this is the list of buttons, and right now what we would like to do is just to change the button description to empty or space quote space quote. Okay, so and now inside the reset button, which is outside the on reset click, we want to return this on reset clicked, okay, which can be used for the event, the click event. Okay, so we finished this. Okay, and let me also add a comment here. Okay, to say that start a new game. Okay, so reset is to restart a new game. Now we have the reset function available. Now we can register this function as a event handler, okay, for the reset button. So what we do is self.reset. Okay, we go back to the init function, okay, inside here, and then reset underscore button down dot on click, and then we put reset self dot reset here. Okay, so that is actually you need the parentheses, yes, because we are going to run this reset, but at the end of this return there's no parentheses here, it's empty. Okay, so so this is going to register this reset function to the reset buttons on click event. Okay, so let's give it a try. Okay, run it, shift enter to run it. Now let's play a little bit, and then if we click on new game, it's going to clear everything out. Now I would also like to have another indicator whenever we play, right? This says ready, but whenever we play, I would like it to say that the game is in progress. Okay, so we know that we have a button click event that runs the make move function. Okay, so let's change the make move function a little bit so that whenever you click on it, it will change the status to in progress. Okay, so on this on button clicked, okay, once someone has clicked, okay, and what we can do is that we can basically change the status of this self dot status dot value to something like in progress, right? So this is one way. Or if you want to be more specific, you can also look at in the end who is being is playing. Okay, so this self.player really keep track of whoever is playing, and if you want to be really specific, you can also say in progress plus self.player plus playing. Okay, and so this will give us the full context. So let's give it a try. Run it here. And so at the beginning it's ready, and whenever I click, so X has played, and now it says O playing. So I'll go ahead to play, and it says X playing, and then and so forth. Okay, so now we can play. But the problem here is that if there is a winner, okay, it's not going to tell you, right? So if I continue to play, we have a winner here on the diagonal line. It's not telling us that there's a winner, and it will continue to let us to continue to play. Okay, so let's change this behavior so that whenever there's a winner, okay, whether it is 3x or 3 O's in the row, right, or 3x or 3 O's in the column or on the diagonal lines, okay, we are going to tell that there's a winner and game over. Okay, so that is our next step. So let's first create a check win function so that we can check all the different combinations of winning situations. Okay, so the rows, the columns, and the diagonals. Okay, so let's go back there, and perhaps we can again add this function anywhere, but let's add before the display, and something we call check win. Okay, self. Okay, so we are going to check if there is a winner. Okay, return the winner. Okay, X O O, or if there's no winner, return again the empty, right? Quote space quote if no winner. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So what we do here is that we are going to check multiple places. Let's start with actually the visualization here, just to understand. Okay, so again, as I said, we use ing, right, for the rows and columns, and I start with 0, 1, 2, right? And then j, the same thing for the columns, 0, 1, 2. Okay, so first, there are three, let's say there are 3 eggs in the second row. Okay, then the situation must be the board. Basically, we use the board, right, to keep track of the memory, and then on the board what we have is if we use 1, this reference the second row, and then we can use 0, right, for the first column, right? So the situation here is that for this particular example, 3 columns in the second row, that means the board, okay, 1 0 should have the same value as board 1 1, okay? So board 1 1, and then which should also be equal to 1 2, okay? Second row and third column, okay? So if these 3 values are the same, then we can say we have a winner, right? This is the situation with the winner, you know, on a row, okay? There's also a situations where we have a winner on a column, okay? So column-wise, we are talking about the second index being the same, okay? And then we change the first index. There is also a situation when the winner is on the diagonal line, okay? So in that case, for example, in this line, on this line, it's basically the 0 0 index, right? And then 1 1, okay? And then 2 2, okay? So I know there is a better way to go using set and to identify the unique elements from a list, which is very fast to do. But today we're just going to be very basic and just look at these values and the combination of these situations to determine whether there is a winner. Okay, and we are going to actually start with the diagonal situation to figure out whether it's a winner, and then check the rows and columns. So bear with me, let's go back to the check win function. Okay, so first we're going to check diagonals. Okay, so in this first situation, we want to check whether the 0 0 1 1 2 2, okay, have the same values. So what we do here is 0 0 equal to, and I'm going to just copy paste and change the index. Okay, copy paste 1 1. Now, unfortunately, you cannot continue to use the equal signs here. You have to use and then what you can do is copy 1 1 over equal to, double equal to 2 2. Okay, so which means if the values, and then put a column at the end, if the values on the first row, first column, second row, second column, third row, third column, then there is a winner, right? And so it can return the value of the winner. Because all these values are the same, we can return anyone. Okay, let's return 0 0. Okay. The second situation is another diagonal line. Okay, so if, and let me copy these over, and then we can reconstruct the situation, the condition here. Okay, so self.board. So again, it's 1 1 is still in the middle the same, but the first one on the first column is 0 index, but it's the column index should be 2. Okay, so the first row, second column equal to the second row, second column, and then which should also be equal to the third row, not the third column, but the first column. Okay, so go in this direction. Okay, so I hope it makes sense. These are just two cross lines, okay? And we're going to return, perhaps we can return the one in the middle. You can use any value, but we're going to return just one of the values as winner, right? Because there are two situations for these conditions. It can be either be all, they have the same value of all, or have the same value of x. But in either case, we just return the value as a winner. Okay, so we are done with the two cross lines, and then we are going to check the rows. Okay, so to check the rows, it's rather easy. So for I in range 3, okay, and what we are going to do is if, and let me copy these over because I want to kind of change the index here. Okay, so right now we are comparing the same row, so the I should be the same. Okay, so we are talking about the same I. Okay, but the column should be different, right? The first column is 0, second column is 1. Okay, second column is 1, and then the third column is 2. Okay, so that is, and if these are the same, then we can return one of these. Okay, so what we can return, okay, is the first one. Okay, so this is to check the rows. By the way, when you return, this function is done. Okay, so if this is the return, it's going to be get done, and the program will stop here. It will not check the rest of it. Okay, and so now let's check also columns. And columns are rather similar, so I'm going to copy and paste the one for the rows. And again, I'm going to change I to J. It doesn't really matter, but normally we use J for the second index. And so what we can do here is, okay, instead of changing the second column, because now the second column is fixed on J. Okay, and then we need to compare the first row, okay, which is 0, and then the second row, which is 1, and then J. Okay, so they are all about the J's column, so let me make this correct, the J's column, right? So J being the second index. Okay, so J's column. And so J's column first row, J's column second row, J's column first row, J's column this is second row, and then third row. Okay, 1 being the second and 2 being the third. Okay, so in that case, if they are all equal, that means, you know, the 3 rows are in one column, share the same value, and we can return any of these. Okay, so again, whichever situation it is, there's a winner. Okay, now if after all these it has not returned yet, there's nothing, that means there's no winner. And so if there's no winner, nothing found at this point, and we are going to, or I should say, no winner found at this point, and what we are going to return is just the empty, okay, which indicates no winner. Okay, as we said, we return quote space quote if there is no winner. Okay, so that is going to be our check win. Now we have implemented this check win function. We need to make it part of our event, like when should we execute this function. So what we do is that whenever we make a move, right, when we click on the button and make a move, we should check the winner. Okay, and so what we are going to do is we are going to call this check win function as the make move. Okay, so what we do here is go back to make move and to check the winner. Okay, and so so after this status change, let's just add check winner. Okay, so that's call the check win function. And okay, so you're going to call the check win function, and it's actually self.checkWin because it's part of the class. Okay, self.checkWin function, and return the winner to this self.winner. Okay, and now if the self.winner is not equal to, okay, so exclamation mark equal to means it's negative. It is not equal to this empty string, okay, or space. That means there's no winner. And what we can do is that so if it's not empty, then there must be a winner. It's either X or O, and we can change the status to something like value equal to self.winner plus 1. Okay, so it's going to because this self winner in this case is going to be either an X or an O. Okay, and it's going to say X1 or O1. Okay, so that is going to be the message. Now there's one more thing I would like to add, which is, remember when you want to make move, right? And we did check on the board if that particular cell is not taken yet, and you can kind of play on that particular position. So there's a check here, but there's also a situation where we do not allow the players to continue, because like when there is the winner already, the game is done. You cannot play anymore. Okay, so in this case, we also need to change or add a situation to it. Okay, so what we can do is that we can add something like self.winner. Okay, if it is let's see. Okay, so if self.winner is space, okay, so quote space quote, then we should allow the game to continue to play because there's no winner yet. Okay, only if the winner is either an X or O, we will disable this function. So as long as the winner is still not decided yet, this will continue. Okay, so with this fix, let's run this code, and hopefully it will work. So that's try to play here. Okay, so I'm going to give a winner. So it says in progress X playing, and if I mark this, supposedly there should be a winner. Okay, and it says X1. Okay, so now if you try to play, it doesn't allow you. Okay, but until you start a new game, and then you can say let's give okay, now if I clicked here, it should say O1, right? So it says O1, so it looks like everything is working. So at this point, I think we are done with this particular part of the game. So we have a complete game where we have a board, we have a reset function, we have a check win function to double check and determine who the winner is. Okay, and so now that this part is complete, we are going to work on a bot in the next video. So I will see you the next time. Bye for now.